No, you're good, man. It's no worries. I can't really hear it in my headphones, so it's cool.
Okay,
Point
cool.
it, yeah, point it towards me, dude.
All right, cool. I'm gonna do my I'm gonna do a little intro here, and then I'll have you guys introduce yourselves, and we'll jump into it.
Okay, what
Awesome.
about like any like if cuss words slip, is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Hey, swear away, man. Swear away.
I mean, I'm not like a big cusser, but just in case, I just didn't want
No, we're good, dude. This is a yeah, no, it's a
to.
podcast. You can say whatever you want to. That's the whole point of this podcast that we do here is just freedom of speech.
Cool.
Cool. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Let me get my notes here. All right, here we go. What's up, fans, and anyone else who accidentally wandered upon this train wreck of a podcast? This is Topicocalypse, the only podcast on the internet, and I am your benevolent or irrelevant host, Josh Peterson. This episode is brought to you by Wheelie Q barbecue sauces and rubs, but we'll have more on that later. Today, instead of a bunch of idiots sitting around a table talking about things they may or may not know anything about, I'm joined by a band that is doing its part every day to keep the post-hardcore genre alive. Fellow Southern Californians, Keys. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
So who am I talking to? You guys want to do your introductions here?
My name is Kyle. I play guitar and sing. Sometimes I yell a little bit. Here to get in your face.
And I'm Pat, and I play guitar. I do not sing, but I do also yell from time to time.
We all need a good yell sometimes. All right, before we get into the music, tell me a little bit about Keys. How did you guys come together? How did you decide what kind of music you wanted to play? Give me the dirt.
I think long story short is I just wanted to play some music. I found some friends quite a few years ago. We started jamming. We kind of had no intention of being like a real band. We just put an EP out in like 2011 or 12. The reaction was pretty good, so we kind of were like, oh, let's be in a real band. Let's name it. Like, let's try to do the thing. Some obstacles got in our way, and long story short, we're here in 2018. Pat joined us about a year ago. He helped write our new album that should be coming out sometime, I don't know, next year. And we're trying to do the thing for real, and I don't know.
I think it's pretty real. It feels pretty real. I'm enjoying it.
Good, man. I mean, hey, as long as you guys enjoy what you're doing, that's the sign. You guys enjoy what you're doing and you don't hate each other. I think that's the sign of a band that can go places.
Just trying to make music that I would want to listen to.
Yeah. So while we're on this subject, what are your guys' influences?
Pat, you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I had interest in Keys because Kyle and I worked together, and so that's sort of how I found out about it. Was we just would talk about music. That was our common ground. And so, the more we talked about bands and just like specifically like post-hardcore bands and post-rock bands, we just started to, get into it more and more. And as time went on, Kyle was really starting to get serious about things with the writing process for this album that we're working on. And, I was like, if you ever need help, like I'm down. And it just kind of snowballed from there. We just kept writing, and things are really taken like not so much a super heavy direction, but yeah, like I think the post-hardcore genre, emo a little bit, has been making everything come together lately.
So the genre of post-hardcore, I'm noticing recently, it's kind of going through a renaissance of sorts, which is, it's awesome. But for a while, it kind of felt like the genre was dying.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place right now.
Yeah,
like in a good way.
Yeah, and like because I came across you guys on Dreambound, and like if you guys ever listen to that channel, like there's a lot of like different style. It's almost like there's genres within genres. You have like hardcore, lovecore, whatever you guys want to, whatever genre people make up for their own bands.
Yeah,
just slap a core on it,
Yeah, right. It's like there's like people are mixing spoken word with screamo. It's really cool to see it.
Yeah, even in like hip hop now, they're kind of like bringing an emo edge to it. It's kind of cool. I'm into it.
It's like, yeah, someone was saying there's something called like metal rap or something where it's like rap with screaming. and
Dude,
they're
I don't know.
yeah, yeah, they're trying to convince me that rap had mosh pits, and there's just a bunch of people jumping up and down. Wasn't really a real mosh pit.
And like, we don't even have mosh pits.
Yeah, right. Like I sometimes wonder, I'm like, this is gonna be a pretty heavy part. Are people gonna mosh? And then no. Like I'm used to being in heavy bands where, you just like raise your fist in the air, people just start smashing into each other. But no, people just kind of they just want to feel the love at a Keys show. It's kind of positive. Get sad.
I mean, would you guys be stoked though if you saw people like swinging their fist, a little wall of death action going on?
I think I'd be more stoked if somebody just kind of like
Yeah.
Like I'm more into just like moving your feet and like getting weird. I'd be stoked if people kind of just like grooved with it, let alone like I don't know, moshing's cool, but somebody got in like the center of a pit and just started kind of dancing. I'd be down.
I'd back whatever pretty much. I mean, if they want to do both and it just kind of intersects together and creates this weird cyclone, I'm okay with that. People dancing into people pitting, that could be an interesting combination.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they're doing to express the way that your music makes them feel.
Yeah.
So I bought your Wandermere EP on iTunes, and I was looking you up. There's also a Lord of the Rings orchestra cover band called Keys. So does anyone ever show up at your shows dressed like hobbits?
Oh man.
Not yet.
There's so many bands named Keys, and it just kind of bums me out because I was like, I thought I was original.
Dude, I didn't even know that. I didn't know there was like a ton of Keys out there.
There's like a classic rock band named Keys. There's a girl from the UK, like a kind of like pop music. For a while, we were getting a lot of emails like asking to use her songs for videos and stuff, and I would reply being like, no, like I can't give you permission to use that, but you can use this song and link us to like our music.
Dude, let's collaborate with all of them.
Was there any takers?
Anyway.
Any takers when you're sending the links to your music?
Oh, no responses.
Aw.
All right, so you guys probably get asked this a lot, but on one of your EPs, you have a song with Vic Fuentes of Pierce the Veil. How did that happen? I'm
just gonna keep it nice and sweet. Vic's my uncle, so taught me how to play music. He kind of helped with writing some of those songs. Like I show him any idea I ever write, I'm like, what do you think of this? So he's kind of had his little taste of Vic in like anything we've ever released. Whether it's just like, oh, do you like this riff? What do you think of the structure? He's always helped me just in any of my bands. And when we wrote that song, he wrote the guitar for that part. And I wrote the vocal melody, and I was just like, hey, why don't you, like, do you want to sing on it? It just sounded fitting, and how it worked. It's pretty simple.
Oh, I mean, that's cool. You got someone kind of leading you along on this journey a little bit that's been on it already. So that's cool.
Yeah, like I don't know, his opinion just like means most to me. I think just
That's so sweet.
No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. So, like specifically, like band influences. Do you guys have anything that you're like listening to that you kind of try to incorporate into your own music?
It's kind of funny. Like I kind of listen to a lot of like, I guess you'd say like top 40 or like the I call it like the 80s revival right now. Like bands like Twin Shadow and Blood Orange. Like I'm super into Blood Orange, and I think like top bands for me are probably like Panic at the Disco and Hello Goodbye is up there. I don't really listen to a lot of post-hardcore or like a lot of like emo bands, but like I don't know, my go-tos are like Drake, and super into Juice WRLD right now. And Tierra Whack. I don't know if anyone's heard of her. Yeah, I'm into like
I love that name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Tierra Whack's new album is so good. So good.
Tierra Whack. What about you, Patrick?
For me, it's kind of been an interesting journey for me the last couple of years because like I'd always been mostly doing heavier stuff, just constantly like going through the rotation of heavy bands, hardcore bands. I was in a pop punk band for a while, and I found myself like playing a lot and then just going home, listening to pop music, same top 40, like hip hop, 90s hip hop, like just good old throwback jams. And Like that would just sort of like calm me down. It would keep things dynamic, and then
we know your go-to is the Backstreet Boys.
Well, yeah. Frankly,
you blame
Backstreet
them?
Boys all day, dude.
No That's shit. Like the go-to in the van is like LMFAO and Backstreet Boys.
Dude, I wasn't around for the LMFAO. Like, I was like, whoa, you know, I probably reacted way more than I should have. When you guys were joking, you were like, oh, we're listening to LMFAO. And I was like, what? Like, I was so overwhelmed with that. I mean, like, aside from that stuff, discovering all the stuff I was listening to in high school, like these emo bands, that's going through a big resurgence right now. Like, I played an emo night a couple of years ago, and since then, it's just been like, oh, this band I used to listen to, like, Circus Survive and Panic at the Disco and all these just, you know, unique bands that have been influencing me more than I thought they would ever get to. So yeah, that side is creeping in.
There's kind of a theme on here. Usually got my brother here and he likes to talk trash on them, but how do you guys feel about Under Oath?
Dude, I'm all for Under Oath. Like, I flip out. There's months at a time where I'm like, I don't know what to listen to because all I want to listen to at the moment is Under Oath.
How do you feel about their new album?
I think their new album is not an Under Oath album, in the nicest way. I listened to it like halfway through. I couldn't get through it just because I mean, it's not my style of music, but it wasn't bad. It didn't feel like Under Oath to me.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest criticism for them. But I get the need to evolve as a band. You don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again. And sometimes people do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they had quite a break too. So I mean, coming back, especially as like older musicians, I respect that, you know, when they come back and start doing their thing again, they want to do something completely different. You know, like I think if I'd have listened to it and somebody said, oh, check out this band, I would have been like, oh, okay, you know, that's like, who is this? This is interesting. But knowing it's Under Oath and hyping like, oh, this is Under Oath, like they're returning. Of course, like what's going through my head, I got like Define the Great Line, Lost in the Sound of Separation. Just, you know, the expectation might throw people off. So, you know, I support what they're doing.
Yeah, hey, good for them for sticking it out too. What Thrice, I think, is a band that's done it very well. They've kind of transitioned out of that punk screamo phase into like more mature music, and they haven't really made a bad album yet.
Dude, never. I love I think Thrice's weakest album is probably like Major Minor.
Yeah.
That was like when they kind of transitioned from like kind of like their post rock into like more even radio rock, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can always hear like when they change their sound, like VSU was like a humongous change for them. Yeah, fantastic band.
I think we just had this conversation too, because I had slept completely on Thrice. You know, I'd heard it like word of mouth from so many reputable friends, but I'd never listened. And I think, you the other day, Kyle, were like, oh man, you got to go through just the entire catalog. I think you'd like every album, even though there's so many different sounds to appreciate.
They literally do every genre perfect. Like they have like old, like, what is it? Identity Crisis is like kind of like the more punk sound, and then Illusion of Safety.
I'm gonna say Identity Crisis was the first album they did.
Yeah, that one was the more like punk one.
Yeah,
and then Illusion of Safety kind of got like the more hardcore vibes. Then they went like metalcore. They've done it all.
It is weird because with VSU is kind of that transition point though, out of the like the angsty screaming type music and into more like they experiment with folk a little bit and then moved on to just like a regular rock sound or whatever. But
that album's still so heavy. It's crazy.
It's so good. And it's all like the VSU, like the entire album is based on the writings of C.S. Lewis, and just the way he incorporates all that stuff is so cool.
Yeah, they're like one of my favorite bands. I have like one of their like old tour DVDs where it's just like them in their van and stuff, and I still watch that like from time to time. Like they're probably one of my biggest inspirations.
They're awesome, and Dustin's got such a dynamic voice even on his solo stuff. I saw him out at the Troubadour this was last year sometime, and like he knows how to get a crowd going.
So good.
All right, cool. So tell me about how does the writing process take place for you guys?
I think it starts with like I'll just kind of come up with a riff. I kind of laugh because I always say like my parts are really simple. Like I keep stuff really simple, like 2 to 3 chords. I'll find just some notes that I like, and then be like, hey, like what do you guys think? Pat will be like, oh, I can shred on this, and Pat will
just start shredding way too much.
Pat just shreds too hard. Like he's too good for me. Like.
It's like I like overthink the parts. But like, yeah, that the first time we sat down and wrote together, it was just that he had chord progression, just like 2 or 3 chords that ended up being Floating Room, and it was just like a fun developmental process where I would just start shredding inevitably, and then the shred filter would come through, and he would say like, okay, like this works, that doesn't so much, like maybe this is a little out of place, and then we just realized we work really well together, and we would just go into his room and churn out a song in a few hours. And most of the songs were written that way. We just would get so excited about it that you couldn't help but finish something.
Yeah, like I'll always program like some pretty bad fake drums just to kind of get the feeling. We'll throw ideas back with our bass player, Dominic. He'll like give his touch. He'll be like, oh, that doesn't sound like keys. Maybe try it this way. We all bounce ideas back and forth. I think that's pretty cool because I feel like a lot of bands, there's kind of just like one songwriter or like one main person. And like, I guess like in the end, I kind of still have the final say, like, hey, we're not using this song, we're not using this part, but like in a nice way. Like kind of everyone agrees like that I kind of have that final say. I mean, somebody has to.
Yeah, like we don't really fight each other at all, I think is the best way to describe it. Like we don't get pent up and like, oh, how do I tell them this part sucks? Because we just legitimately never really feel that way. We're always on the same page with it.
No, like
even if it does suck, I'm just like,
yeah.
What was up?
Is that no Van Halen issues?
Oh no. Yeah, even if like somebody comes up with something that like I don't like, I'm just gonna be like, hey, like I personally don't like it. It's not bad. It's just it's not for us.
Yeah,
like,
it always makes sense.
Well, because I imagine too, because you guys have really elaborate vocals, and like the stories that are being told through the lyrics is super deep and elaborate. So does that have anything to do with like what gets cut out and what gets kept in and all that?
So this is like the first album I've been keeping my vocals in mind while writing. So like if we write something and like I can't figure out on the spot like a crummy vocal melody or like, oh, that's not going to be in my range, we just cut it immediately. Even if it's like the sickest idea, like, so we're kind of keeping my vocals like in mind this time around. And we're trying to keep it like in the forefront. Cause I mean, like I said, like we listen to a lot of top 40, we listen to a lot of pop. So it's like, what do you listen to? Like, what do you hear when you listen to that? You hear vocals. It's the same beat.
Yeah.
So
like what kind of song are you trying to listen to? I guess is something that we keep in mind, especially him, like he'll cut out parts just from saying something like, oh, what am I supposed to do over this part? Like it wouldn't really make sense. I can't figure it out. And yeah, he was on top of it the whole time. Very early stages, he would think there's nothing for vocals to add here, so maybe we should rethink it.
That probably makes the process easier, though, I imagine, right?
This time around, I'd say, yeah. Like, I would do like whenever I write, I do like little like I don't know how to describe it. Like I make fake words when I sing, like like that, and
oh yeah,
like the start of a melody, like a vocal melody. And I actually like end up keeping a lot of those like on the spot melodies.
Dude, they'll get stuck in my head with nonsense, total gibberish lyrics, and then there I am singing it in my kitchen. My roommates are just like, dude, what are you saying?
Yeah.
So that in mind, though, do you guys how have you guys been like hit by any trolls and people saying that you should do things a certain way? Do you try to cater to what the fans want from you guys, or you just kind of go in and write what you want to write?
I had a hard time after our Wandermere EP came out, even writing that, because like people really want to hear me scream, and I love screaming. Like I like my like the one thing I think I'm most like not insecure about is my screaming, but like I literally blow my voice out. Like I'm probably not doing it right. Anytime that we tour, like I literally can't talk after like 2 or 3 shows, and I not to like cater to not screaming. I think the music has just developed to like needs to be more clean vocals, like and I think a lot of people are probably going to be a little disappointed with the lyrics this time around because they're a little bit more straightforward than they used to be. I used to kind of be super, super metaphorical. And like I said, again, like we just listened to so much like top 40 music. I just wanted to keep it a little bit more accessible, more like digestible.
Yeah, yeah. You want to be able to have new fans come in and not,
Yeah.
wonder what you guys are up to and all that.
Yeah.
So you said you got an album coming out. What's the progress on that? Is it a full album or is it another EP? Can you
Um,
talk about it?
so it is a full album. It's 10 songs. I can say that. We just don't really know when it's going to be out. We're doing it like all on our own this time. So like,
Yeah.
when we put Floating Room out, we had just gotten that mix done and just got like the final version back. And we're like, all right, let's do a video. Let's get it out. Our second song is being mixed right now. So our goal is to just kind of put a song out a month or like every other month. Just because since we are doing it ourselves, like we're kind of, I don't know, like we do have a game plan, like a long-term goal, but also like our short-term goal is just to like get music out to people because I know it's been forever.
Yeah, I think it kind of slowly evolved into creating the short term, putting the singles out, and then finding the best way to support that and generate interest. And initially, of course, like we had written everything like just with 10 songs, 10 to 12 songs for a full length in mind. And then, yeah, it just, as we were doing things ourselves and, we started spitballing ideas, everything evolved into what we're doing now, which is, just keep working on the finished songs the way they are and then get mixes back and, see what we can do after the first few singles and after we've toured a bit more throughout the fall.
Yeah, and also I imagine like as you guys keep doing this, it gets the whole process gets a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, two questions for you guys here. One, would you guys have any ideas, not ideas, but inclination to release anything on vinyl? And how do you guys feel about vinyl coming back?
I'm a fan. Like, I like it. It's a nice aesthetic.
Yeah.
I would love to have all of our releases on vinyl, but it's so expensive to press. Our Wandermere EP came out on like a super limited, I think there's like 4 copies of it, 4 or 5 copies that are floating around the internet for like way too much money. I think like the last one, somebody sent me a picture, it sold for like $50. And I was like, you guys are crazy. I'm down for it. It's just, I don't think we can afford it.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys, as far as like the sound goes, though, do you guys think there's any merit to the idea that it sounds closer to the source of the music?
Honestly, like probably back in the day, it was a lot better, but like nowadays, everything just in the actual studio is so compressed and like digital. Yeah. I don't think it makes a big difference. Plus, a lot of the new record players are like, they have cheaper needles. The speakers people are playing them out of are probably like either the built-in record player speakers or just whatever they have. So honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's a big justice.
I think it's just a process that's sort of died out, sadly. Like back in the day, you'd have to use all of this crazy expensive analog equipment. So I think the whole sound you would get from the way recording was done back then had this life to it that translated into vinyl. And now like he's saying, you could just get the digital sound through vinyl and you can do it as best you can, but that's expensive in and of itself. It's hard to justify the cost, but I just love it, even if we do short runs of vinyl, just because they end up being nice collector's items.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty cool.
It's a cool like nostalgia thing too for a lot of people.
Yeah, I like the packaging and everything. Like we had our last 7-inch split was released on vinyl, and like it's just cool to have that physical copy of your own album.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like something you put on a shelf or something. So
Oh, totally. Frame it, put it on the wall.
there you go.
That's what I just did this week. I didn't know there were any left. So, since I joined just last year, I asked Kyle, I'm like, are there any of those split vinyls left? It's like, yeah, let me bring you one. So I just put it like right on my mantle. That's where it's going to sit. So, I totally see the appeal in it.
The trophy. Well, Patrick, let me ask you this, man. So you just joined the band last year. Was there any difficulty in transitioning in?
No, not really. I've been so happy doing what we've been doing because it felt very natural. We work together. We do the same job. We're both like AV techs, so we just get to hang out a lot and spend time together. And it just sort of shifted. Like the context was not work when we hung out. It was, this is the stuff that we've been talking about and that we love, and we get to write music together. So it just got better and better. And and it's continuing to get more fun. So it's been very seamless and enjoyable from the get-go.
Good.
Yeah, like, when I started talking to Pat, like my guitar player was still in the band, but like he had moved to Portland 2 years ago. So like anytime that we would play like a show, it had to be a tour. Writing was just getting really hard. Like he's still like my best friend. We play video games online together and stuff like that. It was getting to the point where it was too hard to be in a band together. So it just kind of came naturally. Like no hard feelings, no anything. It was literally, hey, I live 2,000 miles away from you guys. I can't be in the band anymore,
Yeah,
so
it's kind of impractical too. I imagine for both of you guys.
yeah.
Okay, video. You mentioned video games. What do you guys play? What are you playing?
Pat, do you play video games?
Dude, okay, so I've been going through this personal crisis lately where I used to play video games all the time, and then I've moved around a lot, in the past 5 years or so. So every time I move, like I downsize. Like the video game collection is no exception. But I was always the type of dude to get super deep into like Oblivion or Skyrim and then Fallout, or every Grand Theft Auto that comes out pretty much. And just games that I could spend a lot of time on and had a good story. Like Metal Gear Solid, I think, was the most recent one I was thinking of this morning, where I'm like, man, I really feel like playing through that entire saga, despite the fact that it'll probably take me like 2 months. But yeah, I just, I have like those franchises that I love that I want to get back to now that I'm like in a stable living situation. So hopefully I'll get into something soon, like newer stuff. I want to get like Red Dead Redemption, like just keep up with things, get back into the swing, so to speak.
Yeah. Did you guys ever get a chance to play the latest God of War?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, I used to bust those games out though. God of War, I played the first one like 10 times all the way through.
Yeah, they're good games, but I mean, like this one, they completely turn it on its head though. Like it's storytelling and the soundtrack and everything. Like it's such a sad game, but it's so much fun.
It's therapeutic. It's like super sad storylines. You just go through them and like, tears your heart open, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, yeah, and then you hear the soundtracks later on, and whenever you hear them, and it just takes you back to that time, and you feel good. You just want to float in it for a while.
Well, it's like Skyrim and Oblivion. I'll just like put YouTube playlists on of the soundtracks for those games. It just makes my day to day in my apartment way more interesting.
What about you, Kyle? You playing anything?
I was super into like Portal. Portal 2 is like the best game ever. BioShock, super big for me. We have like 2 or 3 songs named after BioShock. And our band name is named after Halo, Captain Keyes from Halo.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
So we're a little nerdy, just a little bit.
No worries. Halo's awesome.
Yeah, currently I play League of Legends from time to time. I was way into it the past couple of years, but I'll hop on whenever I get a day off.
Yeah, it helps, man. You just sit there when you've been stressed out for a bit, you turn on a video game, shut your mind off for a bit.
Yes.
Dive into the mythology of video games, unless it's the library on Halo, in which case you break a few controllers.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. I can't afford to get new controllers all the time. That might be the case too. Like,
so yeah,
stock up on controllers.
Can't afford controllers or anger management. All right. Sorry. Back to music. Sidetracked for a second there.
It's worth it.
So what is it like for you guys being a post-hardcore band in 2018 though? Like, is this the revival we were talking about earlier? Does that help you guys, or is it still kind of a struggle to get noticed by people?
I think it's relevant. Like, people are really receptive. Like, when we play shows, people dig the sound. Like I always remember back in the day when I was listening to it.
I think that the whole emo night thing was like a big push for like this genre of music in the past couple of years, because now people are like kind of like proud to be like, oh, like I listen to these bands. Kind of like back in the day, if you said you listen to like My Chemical Romance and stuff, you were kind of like the weird kid.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
now it's kind of like the cool thing. So I think emo night kind of had a big thing to do with not bringing it into like mainstream, but making it a more, I guess, common thing or like cool thing.
Well, it makes it more accessible too to newer fans, and like we're living in a, like I said, it's 2018, and you don't really have to be ashamed to be into like the emo bands like My Chemical Romance or Hawthorne Heights anymore. You just kind of rock it out and do your thing.
Yeah. I mean that's exactly it. Like, everyone just has this new pride about music that was maybe previously just nostalgic and kind of a personal thing. Like, people really like the emotional content. Like, I had somebody ask us after a show recently, like, oh, are you guys going to go in more of an emo direction or a post-hardcore direction? And I was like, I don't think we really have a mission to do either, just one flavor. We really like that the emo revival sort of has generated that interest in more emo hardcore, which is like a post-hardcore sound. And I think post-hardcore has a lot to offer the wider spectrum of people who are maybe just getting into emo music because of emo night, as well as people who have nostalgia for it.
Well, you guys blend things very well too, because I've just going through your EPs and stuff. You guys kind of blend the hardcore, metalcore, post-hardcore, emo, like you blend it all together very well. So it's kind of like you don't really need to, pigeonhole yourself into any specific genre, because you guys cross over them, and it still sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that the other day, because we were just like, I feel like we could fit on like a touring bill with kind of a lot of different bands. Like, we can kind of cater our set list to like heavier bands, or we can cater it to softer bands like
Backstreet Boys.
Not the Backstreet Boys.
Dude, hell yeah.
How do you feel about NSYNC? We talk about Backstreet Boys, but how do you feel about the other side of the coin?
I was out of the loop for both of these groups.
Okay, all right.
Out of my realm.
I'll keep it sweet. I'll say that NSYNC could dance better than Backstreet Boys could. So I think they're automatically in the lead. That's just my contention. I don't know.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah, because any of the NSYNC videos always featured like dance moves that almost looked like they were computer generated, whereas Backstreet Boys kind of just kept things simple.
Yeah, they're soulful. Just let them do that.
Hey, everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, people are gonna know way too much about me and my love of boy bands after this.
Hey, don't be ashamed. It's 2018, remember?
That's right. It's the next revival.
Yeah. There you go. Keys is gonna be the next album's gonna be featuring some dancing and all that stuff. Good.
Yeah, we're gonna have headset mics.
I'm working on it.
All right, so I wanna change gears here for a minute. So I've talked to a few other bands, and I've noticed this common thread having to do with religion. There's kind of like from what I've the experiences I've had and talking with other people, there's a rot in modern churches and like the emotions that people are feeling towards this thing, especially in bands. Like, you can see it and feel it in the music. Has religion had any influence on your guys' music in a positive or negative way?
Not really. I went to like Catholic school growing up, and religion just never like clicked for me. Not against it, not for it. Just kind of very neutral.
Yeah.
There's a lyric in one of our songs where I say she fucked God for better bands, but it's kind of like I get asked. I think that's probably one of my most questioned lyrics that people ask me about. But it's kind of like the opposite of like, you know, selling your soul to the devil. It's like she would do anything for greatness, but like you're just asking the wrong person. Like, why would you do that for God? Like, you're supposed to do that to the devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of the only religion that's ever tied into our music, but it's not even, I don't know, not to be taken like literally.
Yeah, it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's for the metaphor, you know. You gotta word crafting.
I thought it was cool at the time.
Yeah.
So,
I get it. Yeah, because it's just weird because, you know, you have, you know, back to Under Oath for a second. Like they put out that video. Did you guys see that video on YouTube where they're talking about like, and that hits home for a lot of people. Like a lot of people have felt kind of what they're feeling now, and it's crazy to think that has affected you know, an entire genre of musicians, and that's gruesome.
I mean, I think it's just it really depends on where people are at in their lives. You know, spirituality is just something that you can follow it in the great story of their lives. Like you can listen to those older Under Oath albums and hear like what really spoke to them and what brought them together. And then you have now they're at this phase of their life, and it's all what people are really vibing with. And you know, it hasn't influenced me in a huge way at all. I was, you know, kind of similar to Kyle. Like I was raised like kind of Catholic, and then it was more or less just respecting everybody's faith and hearing them out. And like, of course, all those other like metalcore bands from 10 years ago or so, like Oh Sleeper and As I Lay Dying, all those other bands, they were Christian bands. You know, so I would be exposed to it a lot. And
dude, Emery. So
yeah, exactly. So there was a huge presence, but I always tried to stick to just, you know, what I know more or less instead of get too involved with religion, because I wouldn't do it much service.
Yeah, I mean, and it too, it's what you're feeling, I think, probably makes the best kind of music instead of trying to fit into that genre.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever rock out to Norma Jean at all?
Yes.
Dude,
this morning.
Dude, I've heard one Norma Jean song, and it's the one with what's his name, Evan Weiss, the singer from Me Without You.
Yes.
That song's super good. I think I slept on him. I just missed that wave.
I think we were talking about that, like when we were having the Thrice conversation. I was like, "Oh, you've never listened to Norma Jean?"
I don't know. It just
Maradonal
went over my head when I was younger.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I kind of notice when I see like your album covers and listen to the stories and your lyrics, I get this impression that you guys are kind of old souls. Is there any merit to that?
I don't know. I try to keep we do all of our art ourselves. Like any pictures we ever use, like somebody in the band takes that picture. Most of the time it's Dominic, our bass player. We like all being involved in every aspect of it, which is, I guess, kind of cool to us. That's kind of all
I think it's always cool to approach artwork and like a theme from a more mature, wiser perspective. That way, you know, it's much better to come off as like maybe an old soul than it would be to look like a young whippersnapper who's just like putting out weird, immature content, you know.
Like a hipster?
Yeah.
The Wandermere album art is that's an old picture of my sister, like her dance group when she was a kid. I just thought that was like the perfect fitting image because that whole EP is kind of about like not my childhood, but like the house I grew up in and like my parents going through like their thing. And I would always take little aspects of our lyrics to kind of tie like my sister in, just like where was she going? What was she going through all of like this whole time? Because we weren't very close when we were younger, and we kind of got closer as we grew up. So like Wandermere is kind of about that. So I wanted to tie that in. Like that's where that picture comes from. Yeah, stuff like that. I guess like everything kind of is full circle.
Yeah, and like the older stuff, like, you know, old photos and like maybe like forest backgrounds and stuff like that. It just makes people more sentimental, I think. You know, more emotionally attached. Like they get a nice homey feeling. You know, if they get that one listening to Keys, I'm for it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too, because like you and especially like something like Big Picture of the Mountains or something.
Yeah,
You get that it feels like there's more depth to it. Like you're going to listen to this album and you're gonna feel
Yeah.
transcend
yeah,
something bigger than
It,
yourself.
it's more than just like the music on the surface. Like, I don't know. I always say like we're just like a community of friends. Like we always try to. I've met so many people through the band, like that I would have never met, and have ended up becoming just like great friends. So I don't know. It's kind of like a homey feeling.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's cool, man. I love the art. That was one of the big positives for when I came up across your guys' iTunes stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so your music, it has like each, I don't know, it has this like hauntingly like beautiful tone to it, and like each song kind of tells a story, which is something you don't get a lot in music these days. But what would you guys say are the main themes of your music? Like if someone who is not a Keys fan came to a concert or picked up an album, what would be like the takeaway for them that you would want them, that the point you're trying to get across?
Okay, so this is kind of funny. So we always kind of get targeted as being like the sad band, you know, but in my opinion, all of our lyrics are super positive and like super like overcoming a situation or like just getting past something or reflecting on something that was negative, but with always like something always has a positive outlook when I'm writing. So it's kind of funny that like we kind of get targeted as like, oh, we're such a sad band. Um, and then on top of like just the lyrics, I think like the actual music kind of pinpoints where we were at a certain time. So like, you'll hear it in the new album a lot. Like each song is pretty drastically different in the post-hardcore realm. Like I think it just kind of shows instrumentally kind of where we're at, whether it's like a sad sound or a happy sound, and then like the song as a whole. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. So it's basically a moment in time.
Yeah, just like
Mhm.
I guess so. Like each song can have like two separate sets of emotions, where it's the instrumental can be like sad, but the lyrics are kind of always a positive thing.
Yeah, I think it's always very personal, and a lot of people, when they're making really personal music, are tempted to make it really sad, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's easier to make something personal really sad. And I think Key's music is very positive in that it's personal in sort of a working through life's issues type of way. It's never really like oh woe is me, like just wallow in sadness type of thing. It's more of a like, oh, this is what we go through, this is where we're at, and there's still life to be lived, and you got to move on, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, no, that's like those are good themes, but the weird thing is like anything that is the tiniest bit reflective of one's emotions these days is considered like people want to stay away from it, and that's sad to me. Like a lot of people don't take the time to like reflect on themselves and see like what is going on with my mood, how can I change my methods of thinking and stuff, because it's all
Yeah.
everyone just wants
Yeah.
instant satisfaction. It's just
Mhm.
super fast lifestyle, and like that's why I love this kind of music, because it actually, not only am I hearing like a story of your guys' struggles, it actually helps my mind slow down to a point where I can start thinking about my own too.
Yeah, it's reflective, I guess, is a good word.
Yeah. So what songs are you guys most proud of?
So far, I want to say "Floating Room" is like the biggest change for us, the one that we just put out. I'm pretty proud of that, just because it's like it took a lot to get that song out. Like just the whole recording process for this whole new album, just everything that came together to get that out, and then what the song is about. That's the song I'm most proud of.
I think I'd have to agree. Mostly, I wouldn't say I was surprised, but like having written "Floating Room" first, of course, we were extremely excited about it from the get-go, but you know, I was like, oh, we're just gonna put the first song we wrote out as the first single. Like, well, okay, yeah, cool. And then it ended up being something I was so proud of that it was cool to see just all of that effort and all of those, you know, hours spent on it turn into something that was very musical and, you know, as deep as it is. Like, I really hope to continue that, you know.
It was like the first song we ever did like a real music video for too. So it was cool just like making a visual to go along with it. It was something we've never done before, so that was fun for me.
Yeah,
it was fun. That was a fun music video.
No, it's a cool video. It's very artistic.
That was the prism effect was like live, so it's not like done in After Effects or anything. Like our bass player Dominic filmed everything, so he was like manually adjusting the focus and everything while filming. So it was just a really cool process.
Yeah, you gotta love practical effects, man. Just like the people who are like, oh, hey, look, there's a glass. If I shine a flashlight through it and put it next to a mirror, it's gonna create this like cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Love that stuff. The way people's minds work, man. I'm jealous. So while we're on the subject of floating rooms, so the single is out and it's very tragic and emotional, and like maybe that's just what I took away from it. But all right, I'm gonna tell you what I think the song is about, and then let me know how far off I am.
Okay, you're gonna get it 100% right.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So when I listen to it, I hear it sounds like a story of like unreturned or worn out love. Am I close?
No.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Twist.
Yeah, plot twist. Can you tell me about it? Like, what's the?
I guess like long story short, so like I didn't start like drinking or anything until I had turned 25. That kind of stuff didn't appeal to me. And then I was just like going through some stuff personally, and I started drinking, and it was just all like immediately a bad habit. So I haven't drank since then. So it's just like a bad year. So that song's kind of just about like, I only thought I was happy while I was like drunk or like in that mindset. You know what I mean? Like I can only have conversations with my friends, have conversations with my girlfriend, like if I'm getting like fucked up. So it's kind of just about like overcoming that, and just that would be kind of like the more literal explanation of the song. I kind of like to leave it open for your own interpretations as well. But that's just kind of what I was going through at the time. So that's kind of like the basis of the idea of the song. It's just like kind of about thinking that you have to be in a certain mindset for people to care about you, I guess, you know?
Yeah. No, so kind of like what's the idea of like alcohol as a social lubricant?
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I found out like very quickly that I didn't need it, and it's just not that the whole song's about like being drunk or anything, but it's just about like that's kind of where I was at, I guess.
Yeah, it's well, the mindset too, like especially when you're around other people and you feel like you can't fit in with them, you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's in the future for Keys? You said you had your album coming out. Any tour dates or concert dates coming up here?
All right, check it out. So we're going. You're going to hear it here first.
All right, MTV.
We're putting out a cassette of the Floating Room like EP, both the versions of the song. That should be out on the internet hopefully this week. Our second single is being mixed right now. I don't know when it's going to be out. Hopefully end of next month. We may or may not have a tour that we may or may not be announcing in October.
Super secret. Yeah.
There's stuff happening. Let's just say that.
All right.
Yeah, we have plans to like get out on the road in the next few months. Yeah, like I said, with the whole single plan and everything, and we're keeping that sort of in the incubator, and then we're gonna bust it out as it keeps going. And for the immediate foreseeable future, it's like this cassette release, and then we'll have the next song out definitely like next month. And then just continue the process. Like we really want to just keep it something that pulses and pops up a lot for people to latch onto. Like, oh, I just got into this song, now here's another one, and keep the energy high.
Momentum. Yeah. Hey, well, if you guys got if you got something going on locally, let me know, man. I'll pop on over. Love to see you guys live.
I know this is the first time we can actually play like one-off local shows.
Yeah.
We're kind of excited about that. We're all we don't all live in San Diego, but we all live within like a 2 to 2.5 hour radius from each other. So
yeah,
possible now.
Yeah, it's more like a half San Diego, half LA. So like everything is just driving distance. It's going to be made up by one of us. Where if we're playing in LA, like we make the drive, we're playing down here, they make the drive. So it's the one-off shows are something I would love to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's plenty of concert venues too in between, the two places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. All right, cool. So if people wanted to find you guys and your music, where would be the best places to look?
I guess just say like Spotify. I think Apple Music. I think social media wise, we're most active on Instagram and Twitter. We try to do Facebook, but it's just I don't even use it personally, so
it's hard to keep up these days.
Dying out, man.
Yeah.
Definitely Instagram /Keys Official. Twitter's the same, Keys Official. And yeah.
All right, cool. So any closing thoughts? Anything you guys want to say before we sign out here?
This was fun. Some good questions.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time, man.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the opportunity to be introspective and kind of look at our past as a band and just what the material means to ourselves and others. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun having you guys on. Once things get moving a little more for you guys want to come back on and talk about it, I'd love to have you back.
That'd be awesome.
All right, cool. So guys, this has been another episode of Topicocalypse. Thank you so much to Kyle and Patrick of the band Keys for joining us on this episode.
Yay.
If you want to find this podcast, you can find it on Podbean, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, podcast.com, Stitcher, Google Play, and other great podcasting outlets around the globe. Until next time, it's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
guys. Question for you. I'm gonna have this episode probably up tomorrow morning. And I'm gonna put. I was talking to Mikkel, I think your manager's name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, she's there.
Hi, Mikkel.
She had mentioned I'm gonna put one of your guys' songs on the end of the podcast here, just so people can get a taste of it. So I'm gonna throw a floating room on here.
Okay, awesome.
And then once it's out, if you guys could do me a favor and share it or whatever, and then I'll share your guys' music. Well,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool, guys. Well, again, thank you so much. This is a good conversation. I love talking with you guys. It's fun.
Yeah, likewise, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll talk to you tomorrow then.
All right, sounds good, man.
Awesome. Have a good one.
All right, later, guys.
Peace.
Peace.